Hey everybody! Today I thought that I would put out a little video about how I edit, what my process is, and how I give my photographs that pop that I like them to have. So I'm starting with this photograph that I took yesterday of my friend Jamil. And as you can see, there is not a ton going on here right now. But I can see that this photograph has potential, so let's get editing. So first thing I'm going to do is what we call global edits. It's edits that affect the entire image, not just a small portion of it. So I'm going to first up the exposure because this is way too low to even do anything with. So now that I have that, and I might have to adjust it again, I'm going to actually bring the highlights way down on this image. Usually I leave the highlights around here, but for this image, the smoke is intense, and I'm going to bring them way down. I'm also bringing the shadows way up, because you can't really see a ton of what he's wearing with the shadows that far down. I'm going to up the whites a little bit, not too much, and then I'm going to lower the blacks even less. Again, I'm going to up the exposure a little bit because that's too much, lower the highlights. It's kind of a back and forth going on with this one. And I'm going to actually go ahead and pull it in, even though I usually do cropping later, just so I can see what I'm working with. A little more. Alright, so that's really what I'm working with right now. I'm going to lower the blacks more. Next thing I'm going to do, a little less than that. With shots with mist and fog, the clarity looks amazing. Same with water. Clarity looks amazing on water. Usually when I edit a photograph, I'll up the clarity just a little bit, maybe like 20, 25. This one, I'm going to put it way up there. And I don't usually do that, sometimes it looks really weird. But that looks fantastic. It makes it very dramatic. I'm also going to dehaze a little bit because the fog is so intense. I did use, it's called Fantasy FX Professional Haze for this photo shoot. So you get that foggy background just sprayed right out of a can like hairspray. Next thing, in most of my photographs, I actually like to up the vibrancy a little bit. Just give it that pop. In this case, however, I actually want that feel that's kind of in between black and white in color. So I'm going to actually lower my saturation to about that. And take note of how much you've lowered it so that when you go to lower the saturation in other photographs of the same series, they look cohesive and like part of a collection. You don't want it all over the place. That's not a good look. Next, scroll down. I am not going to touch these. Briefly, for reference, I could, for instance, hue, I could turn his skin greenish and his hair. I'm not going to do that. That'd be silly. I think red might affect it a little. No, not so much. Mostly just orange. Saturation, I could really saturate him, which looks kind of cool, but it's not the vibe I'm going for. I could totally desaturate. That basically makes the entire photograph black and white. And then the last thing that I could use actually is luminance, just to bring his skin up a little bit brighter. And actually, I kind of like that. I wasn't planning on using it, but let's just scroll in a little bit. That does look a little bit kind of nice. Gives him just like kind of that glow. So I might leave it just up a little bit. There's basically no other colors in this photograph, so I'm not gonna bother with the rest of them. Next, sharpening and luminance. Now, I don't really think it needs too much of either one. I might sharpen it a little bit. This is not a fully registering. This still needs to load a little bit. But I'm going to go ahead and make it a little sharper. Up the luminance. I usually put the luminance up a tiny bit anyways, just to give it that slightly softer feel, so I think it looks nice. And then I'm going to give it a tiny vignette. Be really careful with the vignettes that you use, because when you bring it all the way down like that, I mean, unless you have a specific reason, it looks like you really add a bad filter to your Instagram posts. So I'd recommend bringing it between 0 and like 15 to 20 at the max. I'm going to put it at like 13. Even that's a little too, that's the wrong button. I think 13 is a little too much for me. I'm going to put it at like -8. So already, like, you can see the difference in these photographs. This is a huge difference. But there's more we can do. So I'm actually gonna go ahead and bring these shadows up even more, bring the exposure up even more. I think that brings out some of the shadows that are going on. I'm gonna actually up the whites. And let's see, what else can we do? A lot of this is just about adjusting and adjusting. I honestly, grab your wine, because I can be editing for hours on like 5 photographs. I think the last thing I really want to do to this, first of all, we notice these little dots over there. We do not want anything distracting our photographs, so I'm just gonna, you can Photoshop this out. This is kind of a lazy way of doing it, but I'm just gonna go ahead and spot replace those couple of things that I don't like. Because in this case, it works perfectly. Finally, I'm going to go ahead and grab a brush. I'm going to up the feather a bit. It's going to be pretty wide. I'm going to lower the exposure of this just slightly. Maybe highlights as well. Just to make it not look like it's coming from one like spotlight. More of a cohesive feel. So there is my editing process for something like this. So I hope you guys like this video. Let me know what you think, and you can follow me on Instagram at paracosm.images. I also have a Facebook and a Twitter, paracosmimages, and my website, you guessed it, is paracosomimages.com. So let me know what you think. Have a great day.